Hey everyone, it's Gary Enerson here. How y'all doing? I hope you had a good week. Welcome to episode number 37 of Gary E's Sketch Cards, where this week I am drawing a sketch card called FN-2187's Epiphany. It's going to be a sketch card of FN-2187, or Finn, from Star Wars The Force Awakens. And I also wanted to take this opportunity to kind of give my 2 cents about how I felt about The Force Awakens. I know there's been a lot of reviews out there already, and I probably won't be saying anything you haven't heard, but I kind of wanted to throw my 2 cents in and just kind of put my voice out there, so to speak. So with that, I guess here we go. Now, full disclosure, there probably will be a couple of mild spoilers in this video, but if I think unless you've been hiding under a rock or something like that, I think most of us have seen The Force Awakens now, so everybody kind of knows what's going on. I guess I should probably just say before, I was able to see this movie on the Thursday night before it came out, so I was able to see the 7 o'clock showing, and I want to thank the AMC Barrington 30 for being awesome. The theater I saw it in had no other films playing the whole day, so I got there around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they basically just let me in. So I met up with a buddy of mine, and we kind of had the theater to ourselves for a couple hours, which was kind of cool. You could we got the best seats, and we kind of marked our territory with our coats and everything, so to speak. And it was just a really good, actually, it was an awesome viewing experience. So I wanted to thank them for that. I kind of went into this movie initially with the trepidation of going into some of the prequel movies, and I'm not going to sit here and bash the prequel movies. That would take like an 8-hour video to complete. But I after seeing the Phantom Menace and kind of everything that transpired with that, eventually figuring out that it wasn't all that great, and then with episode 2 and 3, I kind of walked into The Force Awakens with sort of the same attitude. I was very cautiously optimistic. But in the end, I kind of liked it. There were a couple of things that I was not too keen on, and I'm sure many of you have heard these things already. After the first viewing, I was a little disappointed that it looked a lot like A New Hope, the original Star Wars movie. I was also a little disappointed that there was a big floating orb in the sky that shot big lasers, and it didn't bring me down, but I didn't really know what I thought after the first viewing. And I will say this though, when I saw it the second time, I found out that those things really didn't bother me all that much. And I actually listened to the audiobook in between the viewings, so I was able to get some information that was sort of cut out of the film, was sort of able to get some more details and stuff like that that weren't really portrayed in the film, or were not clumsily portrayed, but just not really all that clear. The scene, for example, again, mild spoilers, where Rey uses for lack of a better term, the Jedi mind trick on a stormtrooper. It seemed a bit quick in the film, and it seemed a bit too convenient that she just kind of figured out, hey, I can do this. But if you read the book or listen to the audiobook or whatever, it sort of gives her subtext for doing it, for realizing that she might be able to do it, and the reasoning behind her giving it a try. And it makes a little bit more sense. And I kind of came to a conclusion as I was listening to the book that I think a lot of things that people are sort of disgruntled about with this film will be made clear eventually. There's a lot of things in here that, and again, you've probably seen all the articles, everybody's, tired of it looking like the first film. Everybody is, upset that Rey just seems to be able to know how to handle herself, and she was never really in any danger or anything like that. And I kind of disagree, and I'm not here to sort of change anybody's opinions, but again, after listening to the audiobook, it sort of gave a lot more subtext on what was going on, and it made a little bit more sense the second time around when I saw the film. And I noticed something The second viewing, again, I didn't really mind all the stuff that I had a problem with the first time I saw it, and actually enjoyed it a lot more. And there seems to be people out there that are, finding the same thing. Again, I didn't mind so much that there was a big desert planet, in the film. I didn't mind so much that there was a big floating orb in the sky, the Star Killer base and all that. And it was a big weight off my shoulders. And I found that, again, I was along for the ride, 100% the second time around. I mean, is it a perfect film? No, but in my opinion, I think it's the fourth best out of all 7 Star Wars films that are out there. So, pardon the shaky cam there. I didn't put any cut edits in the film this week. I just kind of ran it through straight. And there are going to be a couple of spots where I stop and grab some acrylic paints and other things that were sitting off to the side. So just kind of bear with me. One other book that I got that kind of gives some backstory into The Force Awakens as well is the Force Awakens Visual Encyclopedia. I got this book at a discount on Amazon. I got it mostly for like drawing reference. Matter of fact, that's where I got this particular picture of Finn's helmet. But there are a lot of little call outs and sort of backstory details in this book. And it's a really cool book. Once you've seen the movie, find a copy of that book and just kind of take a look at it. It gives little summaries and background informations. Like there's a paragraph about the Battle of Jakku, which is the desert planet. And, if you've seen the trailers, even if you haven't seen the film, if you've seen the trailers, you've seen the desert planet with the big Star Destroyer in it. Basically buried in a big sand dune. And that was because of what was called the Battle of Jakku. And there, like I said, is like a paragraph in the Force Awakens Visual Dictionary that kind of gives a brief summary of what happened at the Battle of Jakku. And it was a really cool sort of piece of supplemental information. I never really got into a lot of the expanded universe stuff in Star Wars with the original films. Never really got into a lot of the books or the comics or anything like that. I have a couple of them, but I never really took the story as canon because I had a feeling that one day the canon would go away or that the stories would go away. And as it turns out, they kind of did. But in getting some of this additional information, it made the movie a lot easier for me to accept. And I know a lot of people are going to be, complaining that, the movie should make you accept it on its own merits. And that's fine. But I mean, if you look at any major motion picture that's out there, any cult film or anything like that, there's always backstory that is not included with the film, but is just known. You know what I mean? And, The Force Awakens is obviously no exception here. So, in the end, I plan on seeing it again, probably a couple more times. I'd like to see it again while it's in the theater. I saw it in the real 3D, and then I saw it in IMAX the first couple of times. And then I'm hoping to see it in just regular 2D. So it was good to see it, like I said, in the 3D and everything. But I kind of want to see it in the 2D just so I can, take that sort of element of depth out of it. I just want to look at the film as, on its own merits, I guess, and not, pay attention to the novelty of the 3D and that. But there was something else I kind of noticed on the second viewing. With the first viewing, I kind of noticed that I was missing the sort of sequence. Like with the original Star Wars films, you have certain sequences in all the films that if it's on TV or something like that, or if it's just on, the Battle of Hoth, for instance, in Empire, the biker chase scene in Jedi, there are these sequences that you look forward to. And I was a little disappointed in the first viewing that there really wasn't a sequence like that. I mean, you could argue that the Millennium Falcon on Jakku is one of those sequences. And again, I'm not going to try to give too many spoilers out, but there is a sequence with the Millennium Falcon on Jakku, as I said. But I noticed the second time around that the entire movie seemed to be one big sequence with a lot of action and stuff, and then a few pauses for breaks and stuff like that uh, from time to time. And I kind of appreciated that a little bit more again the second time. So here's some acrylic paint coming up here. Side note, Finn's helmet is marred with the blood of a fallen trooper early on in the film. Again, spoilers. And I basically just used some acrylic paint to put that on there because I didn't trust myself with the Copics or the Dick Blick markers that I used. I used the Dick Blick markers this week. I used the warm gray markers and stuff like that for the different values. So, but anyway, getting back to it, I kind of figured out the second time around that the entire movie was one big action sequence with, again, sort of breaks in between. And I really appreciated it a lot more the second time around. And, again, I'm not out to change anybody's opinion on it. It was interesting to me how the first time I saw it, I was a little more disappointed than I was the second time around. I kind of thought I would still be disappointed, but I wasn't. I was actually pleasantly surprised. And like I said, I look forward to seeing it again. And, I don't know how many people share that opinion, and feel free to leave a comment below and let me know what you think. But that's just kind of my brief take on it. I think one of these days I'll put in a full-blown video where I talk a lot more spoilers and stuff and sort of break things down, and again, in my own opinion. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Hopefully I'll get that out soon enough. So anyway, we're coming up close to the end here. If you would, leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of The Force Awakens. Let me know what you think of the sketch card. Like this video if you would. Subscribe to my channel if you would, please. Let me know what you think. Take care, and I will see you next week. Remember, your art is awesome. Always strive to do your best, and always strive to improve, and I will see you next time. Once again, this card is called FN-2187's Epiphany. This is Finn from Star Wars The Force Awakens.